Hey, welcome to EPN. My name is Victor Lucas, and we bring you the latest in everything cool every single day, thanks in a large part to our pals at the VFS School of Game Design. Thank you, Vancouver Film School. Now, this rundown is dedicated to Leaf Fan B, who really enjoyed our interview about Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4. Enjoy your rundown. I have a bad feeling about this. There's been a great disturbance in the Star Wars galaxy. Directors Phil Lord and Chris Miller have been abruptly fired from the upcoming Han Solo prequel movie. The film has been shooting since February of this year, and needless to say, it's very unusual for directors to be fired this late in the process. Disney and Lucasfilm made the surprise announcement last night, saying that they're dropping the pair over creative differences, with Lord and Miller themselves saying pretty much the same thing, that their vision for the film just wasn't aligning with the studio. That's the official version, so what really went down? Variety and The Hollywood Reporter, citing unnamed sources close to the production, claim that this follows months of conflict on the set, with the directors on one side and Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy and screenwriter Lawrence Kasdan on the other. Lord and Miller, following the success of their other films, 21 Jump Street and the Lego Movie, apparently wanted to bring a more comedic tone to the film, while Kennedy and Kasdan wanted it to have a more dry and sarcastic sense of humor, similar to the way Han Solo is depicted in the original trilogy.
One thing's for sure, we're all going to be a lot thinner.
Kennedy and Kasdan obviously won, and the decision to fire the directors was reportedly made after they saw the first rough cut of the film and decided that major changes needed to be made.
Don't everybody thank me at once.
Needless to say, this doesn't look good for Lucasfilm or Disney. As we pointed out earlier, it's very unusual for directors to be fired this late in the process, especially after most of the movie has already been shot, and it begs the question of why they even hired Lord and Miller in the first place if they didn't like the creative direction they were taking. Similar problems happened during the making of the last Star Wars movie, Rogue One, which saw extensive reshoots just months before release that reportedly changed the entire tone of the film. That movie's director, Gareth Edwards, was never replaced, although there are conflicting reports over just how much input he had in the final product. This new Han Solo drama shows that Lucasfilm and Disney are more than willing to take a project away from its directors and change course even in the very late stages of production, which doesn't bode well for the quality of the film and could make it less likely that other high-profile directors will want to get involved in future Star Wars projects. They say they'll announce a new director to finish the Han Solo film soon, with Ron Howard and the Rocketeer's Joe Johnston rumored as potential candidates. Whoever they get, they'll have to work fast because the release date for the film remains unchanged. It's still slated to hit theaters in less than a year.
Yes, I bet you have.
The PlayStation VR isn't just for games anymore. The PS4 headset is getting its first interactive VR short film this Friday. It's called Control and was first released on the Samsung Gear VR last year. It's a 20-minute story focusing on a young gamer named Liam who competes in an esports tournament, and viewers have the ability to move around inside a 3D space and interact with the game he's playing, which has an effect on the narrative. Although there are already 360-degree cinematic short films on the PlayStation VR, this will be the first one on the headset that's truly interactive. And like other interactive short films, it's sort of a blend between video games and movies. Control was created by a UK-based production company called Breaking Forth, and they say that they're excited by the limitless creative possibilities that VR has to offer. Expect to see more interactive films like this in the near future, especially as VR becomes easier to use and less expensive. One of the biggest PlayStation game franchises isn't coming to an end, but its main character is. Developer Naughty Dog plans to continue the Uncharted series without lead character Nathan Drake. The last game, Uncharted 4, brought his story to an end, so the developers are hoping to keep the franchise going with new characters and stories. Speaking with Eurogamer, Naughty Dog writer Shauna Skaggs says that the new game, Uncharted Lost Legacy, which focuses on the supporting characters Chloe and Nadine, is a blueprint for how they plan to proceed, with future games focusing on other characters within the vast Uncharted world. This allows them to continue the franchise despite the conclusion of Nathan Drake's story, which I guess is better than ending it altogether. It's true that the game gameplay and story of the Uncharted franchise don't have to be tied to one specific character, but Nathan Drake does have many loyal fans, like me, who will be disappointed that he's being put out to pasture. We'll get to see how fans respond when Lost Legacy hits the PS4 this August. Whatever Naughty Dog is planning to do next with the franchise, we probably won't see it for at least a few years because their next big project is The Last of Us Part 2. That was announced last year but was conspicuously absent from E3 last week, so there's no telling when it will be done. A dead horror franchise is rising from the grave just in time for Halloween. Lionsgate has set a release date for their new movie in the Saw franchise and given the film a new title. Originally called Saw Legacy, the new film shall henceforth be known simply as Jigsaw, named after the franchise's sadistic main villain, and it will hit theaters on October 27th. This will be the first entry in the Saw franchise in more than 7 years. The studio hasn't revealed much about the plot, although it's safe to say that it will probably involve characters being trapped in a complicated series of sadistic traps, resulting in loads of blood and gore. The first Saw movie was released in 2004, earning more than $100 million off of a mere $1 million budget, kicking off the torture porn genre. The studio released a new film every year until the last one, Saw 3D, came out in 2010, although by that time the torture porn genre had sort of fallen out of favor and been replaced by less bloody films like Paranormal Activity and Insidious, the latter of which was actually made by Saw creators James Wan and Lee Wannell. With the new Saw film, Lionsgate is hoping that enough time has passed and audiences are willing to re-embrace blood and gore once again. We'll have to wait and see if it pays off. And speaking of old franchises being dug up, Sega is dusting off some of their franchises in a new way. They've begun rolling out a new iOS and Android app called Sega Forever, which gives players access to a library of classic games like Sonic the Hedgehog, Altered Beast, and Phantasy Star 2, all of which can be launched within the same app. Sega plans to add new titles every month, and they'll span games from all of their classic consoles, starting with the Master System all the way up to the Dreamcast. There are free versions of the games with ads and paid versions that are ad-free, and they all come with online leaderboards and third-party controller support. That's not the only way to relive classic games. Third-party hardware maker AtGames has announced their fall lineup, which includes new retro versions of the Sega Genesis and Atari 2600. Both systems come preloaded with classic games and, unlike the originals, offer 720p output over HDMI. These are basically Sega and Atari versions of the NES Classic that was released last year, and hopefully they won't be as impossible to find. They hit stores this fall. Although all of the AtGames products are officially licensed, we should point out that they're not actually made by Sega or Atari. Several AtGames products have received poor reviews in the past, so keep that in mind. That's it for our rundown today. If you want to learn more about game design, visit VFS.edu. We'll be back again tomorrow with a brand new rundown for you. And in the meantime, check out some of the other content we've built. And if you dig it, hit subscribe, all right?